In this episode, Martijn Westdijk, he is speaking about bullying, for example, and what kind of effect it had on his adult life. What steps he took to surrender to what his heart longed for all this time, and the path he took, and so much more. I am going to read his bio aloud, then you can watch the video. So Martijn lives in Romania with his girlfriend and a number of foster cats, and he was born and raised in the Netherlands. His story is an example of the struggles many HSP men go through, but who ultimately come out on the other side to be who they were always meant to be. Martijn has struggled throughout his life with his high sensitivity, often fighting it, as well as the idea of how to be a real man. He felt misunderstood by the world, just as he often didn't understand the world either. He scored high grades at school, but was bullied for being an outsider even by some teachers. And later he studied biology at the university and went on to have a career in IT. But this too was a love-hate relationship. Ultimately, he never was really happy because it always felt fake to him. After going through a rough couple of years in life, he found out he is a highly sensitive man. With coaching and guidance, he learned to accept this part of him, to explore it, to even love it, and to use it as his strength. It has brought him lots of adventure, happiness and a peace of mind, and also the feeling of being a real man. This was the part that he always felt he had to fight and suppress, but now he follows his heart and embraces his sensitive part of himself. He moved to New Zealand from the Netherlands, then to Romania, and soon he'll move again. This time it will be with his girlfriend who understands and loves him as a highly sensitive person. He also set up a company to do what he loves, which is going travels. Traveling, taking care of people, telling stories, and helping others. And maybe this story can help you too. Enjoy. Here is Martijn Westdijk. Probably.
5 years old, yeah.
Yeah.
Smiling. But I don't know if I was really happy there. I do seem to smile on my pictures.
Yeah. I can still see it's Martijn. What were you planning?
No, if I still look the same after 41 years, I don't know if that is a good thing.
It's a positive thing. Most definitely. So how did you perceive the world around you?
Yeah. Well, the thing that I do remember from that time is I was very enthusiastic about life, about discovering things. I was, at that time, 5 years old, I was enthusiastic about school, about learning. And I think pretty quickly after that, a lot of the enthusiasm ended up in, well, disappointment. School wasn't all that interesting. I was hoping to learn so much more. I was very eager, and hardly anything happened. That was disappointing. I was disappointed in the teachers. I was disappointed in what I could do, what I was allowed to do, and sorry to say, I was also disappointed in fellow children. Like, oh, come on, why can't you see that? Just get on with it. And I thought that other children were sometimes stupid.
Did you know about giftedness in your childhood already, or was it
Did,
in
did,
your teenage years?
did you know about what? Sorry.
Giftedness.
Yeah, that was something that was very. There was It was very clear about me, especially at that age, 5, 6 years old. I was in many ways ahead of other children of that age, and for school, for my parents, or my mother mostly, it was a big question. Like, how do we deal with that? It was School wasn't ready. School wasn't ready for that, and we didn't know exactly what it was. Um, yeah, what I want to say is that schools are not meant for gifted children or for children that are a bit different, especially not at that time. It was.
It was all new.
Sorry.
It was all new.
Yeah, I'm a bit lost in words. There are so many things that I that I want to say at the same time.
It's so familiar.
Yeah. Now, many years later, I recognize the high sensitivity in that. I also had already learned about being gifted, being a gifted child. Before that, definitely had some tests. Also, when I was, I think, about 6, 7 years old, something like that. Well, yeah, scored off the charts. But yeah, and then what to do with that?
Yeah.
If a country school, a small, a countryside school, a small school has no, there was nothing that we could do other than, maybe go to the big city with that doing that for a small boy. That's a big thing to do. So nothing really changed, and it always became a bit of a struggle, and there was always a difference of what was going on in my mind and the world that I was living in, and the rate that I was learning, and the rest of the class, and there was always this huge gap.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the teachers could fill that in. Some of the teachers could really stimulate me, and I would almost say nurture the talents. But unfortunately, many other teachers didn't know what to do with that. The main thing is, maybe not when I was 5 years old or 6 years old, but especially when in the years after that, 8, 9, 10 year old, I became the difficult boy in class.
Mm-hmm.
The one you can't control, the one who was, if everybody goes right, he goes to the left. Yeah. And that is exactly how I experienced it as well.
Yeah. And I want to say that when you're highly sensitive, you're not necessarily also gifted, but in this story, it's very important to pinpoint your giftedness also, especially what it means to be a highly sensitive man who is also gifted. And so I know that you're all about justice.
Yeah.
And was that also an issue in the classroom, that you felt misunderstood by your classmates or your teachers?
Yeah, I hope misunderstood. That's that is the key word. I think for school at that time. Yeah, misunderstood.
Justice and
Mistreated. I don't know if that is the proper word here, but yeah, like I said, some teachers couldn't handle the situation, and they treated me as if there was something wrong with me, as if I needed to change. I was a problem, so I needed to change my behavior to become more like the others. Because the more that I was like the others, the easier I was to control. For that, I understand that. I understand that now, but I felt it as if I was pushed. I was held back. I was really not allowed to be who I was. And as for the children, yeah, children of that age, oh, they can be so incredibly cruel. that is awful, because I was the outsider. I had already skipped a class. I was already so I was the youngest in the class, but I still was the one who was the fastest learner, the highest grade, even though we didn't really use grades, but other method of scoring.
Mm-hmm.
But that must have been frustrating for them, and they took that out on me in a different way, because I was the youngest and I wasn't physically the strongest. So especially the boys, yeah, they beat me up. They did all sorts of awful things to me. So on top of not being comfortable at school, at some point school became a scary place for me, because I was always picked on by the classmates. I was molested. Children did awful things to me, and yeah, with the girls it was a bit better. They were not as cruel as the boys, but yeah, at a later age, girls can be very, very mean. So it has been something. Yeah, it's an important part of how I feel about school, that I was always the exception to the rule, the outsider in the class. Even though I did have friends. I one, maybe two, and all my attention would be on that person. But yeah, I wasn't part of a group. I wasn't, except for learning. I wasn't good at something that others may look up to. I wasn't good at sports. I wasn't good at being very sociable. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and with teachers, how did that go?
Yeah, the first part in school, you have one teacher for almost a whole year. So that's an important person. I had one teacher that I liked, because he respected me for who I was, and he stimulated me to do my own thing. He gave me extra assignments. He gave me books to read that were, well, I must have been like 7 or 8 years old, and he gave me books to read for 13 or 14-year-olds, and I devoured them as if it was nothing. But later, yeah, there were some teachers who treated me really awful, who humiliated me in front of the class, who every time that I realized that the teacher made a mistake, for instance, I would point at that and say, "Oh, sorry, you made a mistake there." Well, many people don't like that anyway, but I think for a teacher that can be even more difficult. maybe they feel that it was undermining their authority, because they were being corrected by a little boy, but also a boy who doesn't like to follow the rules. For many other children, it was like, so the teacher says, these are the rules, and most children will easily follow into that. And I was like, yeah, those rules don't make sense. Those are stupid rules. And yeah, I was the one who said that, who then refused to follow the rules. But it was also, don't forget, it's also a way to get attention, because if everything that you do in school as for learning is very easy, I would never get the attention from the teacher helping me, stimulating me, or whatever. I didn't need that, but I still needed the attention. So I tried to get the attention in another way, and that became, when I was 9, 10, 11 years old, that became a real struggle in school, a constant struggle, where I was deliberately being put apart from the rest, in a negative way. And yeah, well, it was when I went to high school. I say high school, but it is, different countries have different names for it. But there's
when you're 12, 13.
Yeah, well, I was 11 because
Yeah,
I skipped the class, but
yeah.
That's the moment when you basically go from the little village, the little town that I lived, from the countryside school. I went to a city school, and I was so glad because I was finally rid of those people, and I could learn all sorts of different things that I was eager to learn different languages, learn all sorts of things that already had my interest about history or geography or biology. And oh my God, it was such a disappointment again.
In what way?
Well, first of all, the level the level was pretty low. It was. We didn't learn enough. It wasn't going fast enough. I was frustrated by the children around me who just didn't understand something after the first time that the teacher explained it. And I was like, come on, how can you not understand that? That is one thing. And the second thing is that the teasing, the bullying. That's the word. The bullying got worse and worse. The boys got older. There was this boy in class who was a year older than the rest. I was a year younger than the rest, so there's 2 years difference between us. He was already becoming a real teenager, hormones running through his body. He was much bigger and stronger than me, and he decided, okay, I'm going to make you my pet project by making your life as miserable as I can, because he was struggling with school, and he saw that for me it was so easy, and he really hated me for that. And yeah, he made my time awful. And I distinctly remember that when they were trying to fight with me, it's not that I was lying on the floor and just letting everything happen to me. I did try to fight back, but against a boy who is 2 years older. I was 11, he was 13. Of course, he's much stronger. I stand no chance. And if the others, his friends, his fellow bullies, if they hold me down, they can basically do anything with me. And I got only got more angry and more frustrated, and so I could sometimes then take revenge and do really aggressive and horrible things just to get even, which got me into trouble, and pretty soon gave me a name of being a difficult boy, somebody who is aggressive and going against the stream. And reality, of course, is that it was the exact opposite. I was not the one who was being aggressive. I was the one who was being attacked. I needed protection and didn't need punishment.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you're addressing the bullying, because fortunately now more and more men are opening up about the effects of bullying, because it has a huge effect also in your adult life.
Yeah.
And well, thank you for addressing it in this way, because we hear a lot about bullying with words and other things, but in your case, in your story, it was it was a few steps more serious, even, that you had to defend yourself also physically.
Yeah, it has left scars. It has had a huge effect on me, on the rest of my development as a teenager, of course, and for the rest of my life as well. I still, to this day, have absolute trust issues when it comes to trusting men. If I want to choose my doctor, my family doctor, I don't live in the Netherlands anymore. I moved to other places, and if you go to other places, you have to choose a new family doctor. People automatically assume you're a man. You want a man as your family doctor. I don't. I want a woman, because I don't know if I can be completely honest with a man as a doctor. In my experience, I later realized that I wasn't, and well, the same goes for other things, for therapy, for coaching sessions. I've had different coaching sessions. I've had different coaching styles. I've had my therapy. How do you say that? I've been committed to a mental hospital twice, actually, in my life. Yeah, there was this male therapist, and he could be really professional, and he could do a really good job. But I couldn't trust him. It's that last bit of trust. It was, and I felt it. I was aware of that. And when I changed therapists and worked with a woman, it was much easier. So that is one example of how the experiences in my childhood, younger childhood, but also during adolescence, has really, it still has its effects today. It's not a life sentence either. I mean, just taking it to the other extreme. It doesn't mean that I cannot trust men ever, or that this is something that I have to live with every day and that I cannot change. I realized that in the years after that, up until, well, let's say 5 to 10 years ago, this is something that I was not aware of. It is how how I built my life, how I work as a professional well, I've worked in IT. I was struggling in that world, but I accepted that as it is. It's only much later that I started to realize, hey, where is that coming from? Where does that feeling come from that I am not at home in the world of IT, for instance? And well, it has to do with that the world of IT is a very masculine world. It is a world that is not only a lot of men work there, but it is the type of behavior that is acceptable, that is more common ground there, is the more masculine behavior, and it is the type of behavior that I don't feel comfortable with. So even though I was good at what I was doing, I never felt it was my world. And I've never realized that, again, it would be, I would much rather say, you know what, there's something wrong with me. There is, I am the one who is the problem. I need to be able to adjust. I need to do, and this is something that I did as a child as well, and brought me in, well, weird situations. I, for instance, copied what other people were doing because I thought this is the right thing to do. This is what other people do. So if I do exactly the same thing, well, could not go wrong. Well, but of course it does, because I didn't do the right thing in the right situation. I just did something that somebody did in that situation, assuming that is what was expected, but it wasn't. And well, it made for some very awkward situations in my childhood, but also later in at work and private and in relationships, for instance, because I just did what I thought was right. And to give a good example, I did what I thought was the right thing to do for a man. I looked at other men and thought, okay, so this is what it means to be a man. This is what you should do, and then people will consider me one of the boys. And yeah, I lost my train of thought here a bit, but what I wanted to say is that didn't work for me, and that didn't work for many reasons. Sometimes because it was not the appropriate thing to do or to say or to act, but also because it didn't resonate with myself. And the things that I was copying, they were not masculine things. They were not, had nothing to do with being male. It was what people did in society as it is. They were playing by the rules. They were playing their role. But my role is different. Not per se bigger, but at least it's more dynamic. And restricting myself to what somebody else has already done is limiting. That's the word I was looking for. It is. I would be limiting myself. Mm-hmm. So as a result of that, there's a struggle inside of me that I'm doing one thing because I think it works, and well, society rewards you for certain behavior. But at the same time, I felt the opposite. It didn't feel right, and that is a struggle going on. That was a struggle going on in my head for many years, And on a personal level, and I think that many people will probably be able to relate to that, is this is also at the basis, this struggle that you experience. This is at the basis of not feeling that you fit in society, not just feeling that you're different, but that that if you are who you are, that you don't fit in with society, and that it feels like a dilemma. If I just hide who I am, then I will be accepted, and I will be successful, and I will be loved. Let's face it, that's usually the underlying emotion. But yeah, if you do what your heart tells you to do, what you feel is the right thing, then society will at least have difficulties accepting you. If you think that is a bad thing, if that scares you, you'll be much more likely to stick to the old behavior of repeating what other people did, doing things that you don't like because it is what others like about you, basically to pretend to be someone that you're not. And well, yeah, however, if you start doing things from your heart, from your essence, things will be very difficult in the beginning. Yes, absolutely. But at some point, and that is the thing that I've only started to learn over the past couple of years, after many decades of fighting within myself, but doing what my heart tells me, going, I want to say going back to the core, but it is not even going back. It is finally going to the core, finally going to who I am. After the first hurdles, at some point it feels like everything is going downhill. Like, this is the right thing to do. This is comfortable. This is good. And then things fall into place. Things start to happen around you that all of a sudden you get you find an amazing opportunity to do for work. You're not happy where you live, then you all of a sudden find the perfect home. There are beautiful people coming into your life that make your life richer, and where you can grow together. It could even be in a relationship, in a romantic relationship. Yeah, but the thing is, you do need to take that step and to have the confidence that it will be all right, because it will.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. So you took a big leap, and at one point you just jumped to New Zealand.
Yeah. I'm talking about taking big leaps. My story is is indeed a good example of that. Things changed a couple of years before that already. I was really at my low point in life. I think many people are experiencing, let's call it a burnout, but yeah, really hitting rock bottom. After that, I let me find the right words for that. I started to live my life differently, but it's not as in that I had to change. That is not. I had to cut away all the bullshit. I had so much bullshit going on. I had so many uh, so many persons, so many masks, so many people that I tried to be, who I was not. That, you know, all my time was in just juggling those balls. And at some point I said, okay, well, fuck that, away with the balls, and just be who I am. And well, discovering who I am, going through a whole through a time of healing. Healing, for instance, traumatic experiences from the childhood that have shaped my foundation. And if I can reshape my foundation, I can reshape my house. I can build my house more stronger, bigger, better, more beautiful, more who I am. When I started doing that, at some point, things started to fall into place for me. Like I said, the right people. You start to meet the right people. You start to see. You have the right insights. At some point, you and I met for coaching sessions that played an important role for me. That the highly sensitive part. Well, I'm not going to say it was like the final piece of the puzzle, but it is a very essential piece of the puzzle for me. Many things all of a sudden started to fall into place. Like, oh, okay, now I understand. Okay, now I know why I did that when I was young. Now I know why people still, you know, react in a certain way to me. And yeah, so things started happening for me, and at some point I said, you know what? If I really want to live my life like the way I want to, like the way I was always meant to do, then it is not just about healing a bit here, a bit there, a bit there. You know, the small steps. If I really wanted to be who I am, I need to make a jump. In 2018, well, things started to finally happen for me. I had the opportunity to finally make some big choices. Well, I won't go into details, but until then, I had some things that were really holding me down. Financially, with work, before that also relationship, but then I was free, and I decided to sell my house, to give away all my stuff, and I'll go to the other side of the world, literally. And that is what I did. And as soon as I decided that, things fell into place, because the person that bought my house is like, it could not have gone better. The people that I met, the situations that I got into, they were exactly what I needed. They were exactly what helped me to really move ahead. And yeah, I was looking for a new life. I was looking for a better life than the one that I had. Not that I had a bad life. I mean, I'm very well aware of the privileged situation that I was in as being a Dutchman. Yeah, face it, we are privileged. But yeah, I wanted a new life, and I wanted to share. I wanted to connect with people, and for that, I had to go to the other side of the world. And only when I was there, I met someone online And just as I made an enormous step to go to New Zealand, a couple of months later, I made a big decision to go back to Europe, to Romania in this case, to meet the woman that I met online. And she is still my girlfriend. I am still here and happy. Never expected to live in a country like this. But so many things just fell into place. And I could never have done that if I still had my safety rope, if I was still trying to be connected with Netherlands, in many ways. So yeah, take a leap. Don't take steps. Don't even take big steps. Jump.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, surrendering, absolutely. It's an honor to be able to witness your journey, your personal journey, and there are so many beautiful insights here for our sensitive male youth, for the sensitive adult men, and also for women, to know that when you follow your heart and lower that mask and peel off, and not only you want to say something, I see it. So,
that has also made me realize that many women still have all sorts of ideas, limited ideas about what is a man, what is a woman, of course, but let's talk about men in this case. There are all sorts of expectations they have about men. And yeah, for many of them, I was a bit of the exception to the rule, and the most intimate relationships, and I don't mean the intimate as in a romantic relationship, but the strongest relationship, the deepest relationships, have always been with women. But I also realized that I realized that when I started dating, for instance, many women have a very limited idea about men, what men should be, and I personally have found it incredibly difficult because I now realize that much of that image is based on experience. And if many men play a role or act like a monkey, if as a woman experience that several times, for instance, when you're dating people, or the men that you see in your family or on or at work, then yeah, the image you have of a man is that more of that monkey level, the dominant, the aggressive male, the limited male. So when they are confronted with a man who is different, they don't know what to do with it. And that is a shame, because it's ultimately, it is not about those. It's not about those superficial things. It's not about the package. It is about the content, about what is inside, about the real deep connection. That is where the real deep connection is. Where you, but you have to open up to that as well. And I'm sorry, I'm trying to tell three stories here at the same time. It's not really working. It's one thing that I wanted to say is, in my experience with dating, it was really confusing that if I acted like an asshole, I got more attention. I had more success, dating success. Had more sex, if that is your goal. But it's it's the same thing as I said about being successful in society. If you limit yourself, if you put yourself in a very small box, you will be rewarded for that. And if you are who you are, much bigger, then it will be much more difficult. And that is exactly in the dating world. I'm sorry, I'm struggling with my words here.
Okay. So what is really significant for women to know about a highly sensitive man? Maybe just what to do, what not to do. But we have to take into account that every highly sensitive person is totally different.
Yeah.
No highly sensitive person is the same. But what is your advice for women?
Well, that is a good thing to start. Every person anyway is different, but especially for highly sensitive men, the difference I think is more diverse. Celebrate that. Don't have too many expectations from previous relationships, for instance, and that means looking inward and saying, I will deliberately try to be completely open to the situation and see what happens. I trust that it will be fine. I will not have certain expectations that I want him to do this, I want him to do that. If you have those expectations, you are already limiting his options. And very much related to that is the first thing that came to mind: patience. Have patience. Don't try to want too many things all at once, but have patience and take a step back from time to time, because what many highly sensitive men will also do is once they go for something, once they put their mind on something, it's like going 200% or not at all. And that means that sometimes they can focus on a part of the relationship. Could be doing things together, having to do with trust. You talk about your past, about who you are. Many men will then, if they decide to open up, will really get into it. Will really go for it, or not at all. Again, but have the patience to listen, to stand back at some point, and also realize that the day after it can be the complete opposite. And that is not because somebody is I don't know, has multiple personalities or something, but it is, that part is not in the spotlight. It's something else. Well, good thing about it is it's never boring with a highly sensitive man.
Yeah. So it's wonderful to see you flourish, and I really want to share the link of Going Travels, your business. You organize retreats, for example, also in Romania and New Zealand, and probably also in other countries, I know for sure, in the future. So,
I'm sure there will be, yeah.
Yeah. And there will be, not only visiting locations and places, but also having valuable conversations, massage, everything wellness. So if you're interested in Martijn's work, please click the link of the Facebook page, and he will keep you updated about his wonderful work in the world. Thank you very much for sharing your story, Martijn.
You're very welcome. I am a highly sensitive man.